How's it going?
Good. I'm so glad there's someone out there who agrees with me that the Earth is flat.
Yeah?
Yeah.
Right on. What's your favorite proof the Earth is flat?
Well, I mean, how are you able to drive in like gravity? It just doesn't make any sense.
Yeah, right. What's your other favorite proof Earth is flat?
Well, your favorite proof. Yeah, what's your favorite proof?
Well, I just like vetting people. You know, it's something you got to do because you got to make sure that, you know, when you let people into your house, they don't act like they're not a thief, and then you find out they're a thief after the fact, right? So you got to vet people before they come into your space. So with that being said, you're lying to me. So it's not really the best way to come up to somebody who's challenging the typical norm. So just want to start over. That's cool.
I have an actual question.
Yeah, what's up?
Okay, so like, you think this is not what this is?
No, that was made in China most likely.
Okay, so like, what I'm asking is like, so you know, like, if it's just like a flat piece of paper, where's the edge of paper?
I don't know. Does there have to be an edge?
If it's flat, like how, wouldn't you like, if the Earth is flat, wouldn't you walk and then the edge, you like flip over onto the other side?
Why would you imagine something like that? That sounds terrifying.
What is, like
That sounds terrifying.
Doesn't a flat thing have a top and a bottom side, right?
No.
Is this flat?
Well, I mean, it's got wrinkles.
Like,
Might have to iron it out a little bit.
Completely flat, and like this is just a flat piece of paper, right?
Yeah.
Like, what continents and what like states are on this side and what are on this side, and where is the cutoff? Where is the edge?
Sure.
Like,
So this
like,
is.
Whoop, and then you're on like the other side, right?
You're adorable. But
I just don't.
I know. So how I think is this is very limited. You're limiting yourself here. You're infinite. You have so many more grand possibilities. Why would you limit yourself to that?
Why would you limit yourself to a flat object?
I limit myself to infinite. So land and water go on infinitely forever, horizontally. Why couldn't it?
So you think space wouldn't exist?
So if you were to go west, you'd keep
You're
going
right.
forever.
How does outer space? How does outer space exist?
Well, actually, in science,
Aliens? What about them? I haven't seen one.
we're learning about that right now.
Who's we?
My classroom.
Ancient aliens?
No, we're
Y'all
not
see
talking about aliens.
ancient aliens?
Yeah, aliens is not
No, that's not a good argument. What?
No?
I don't know.
I got one for you. Why can't you see across Lake Mille Lacs?
Uh,
I'm standing 100 miles from the Rocky Mountains. I can see them.
yeah.
Lake Mille Lacs, 20 miles wide. Why can't I see the other side?
Okay, so it's perspective, basically. So you're only so tall, and so there's also obscuring like dust and water vapor and such. If you see something over a body of water early in the morning, the sun hasn't had time to beat down on the surface of the water to create evaporation, which would then create a mirroring effect, a mirage.
Now, if I were to go up in a
So,
balloon on one bank of Lake Mille Lacs,
Okay.
went up high enough to see the other bank.
Yep, you can't see curvature. Curvature does
can
not
actually.
exist. No, you can't.
You can see curvature from an airplane.
No, how big is the Earth? Does anybody know how big the Earth is?
I forget. It's like
Hey, really big isn't math because the government claims to has measured it. Hey, there you go. That's the exact measurement. So the radius is 3,959 miles. So to do that, you need to create an algorithm for spherical trigonometry for a sphere globe. So what the government, Metabunk, and other national accredited places have said 8 inches per mile squared is the curvature drop. So within a certain amount of distance, you need a physical drop of land and water and everything. So where does that start when you are looking at it from the shoreline to out like a ship or whatever? Do you know? 3 to 5 miles is your vision. That's when, what I was saying to him, when the sun beats down on the surface of the water, it creates an evaporation and compounds the water onto itself. That's why you see things disappear from the bottom up.
Okay, I have a different question.
So, go ahead.
Okay. So, like about the vaccination thing.
I wanted to ask you.
Yeah, flat Earth is much more intriguing, but go ahead.
Well, okay, well, if you never plan on getting a COVID vaccine, do you feel that way about like all vaccines, and you get like vaccine for chickenpox when you were a baby, or do you just think it doesn't?
Did I have a choice?
Okay, but have you gotten chickenpox before?
Did I have a choice?
Have you gotten chickenpox?
I don't know. Did I? It's kind of, well, see, the thing about it is, okay, let's just pump the brakes here. There's HIPAA laws. Do you know what a HIPAA law is? Do you know what a HIPAA is? It's medical confidentiality. It's like, I don't need to go around and tell everybody I'm HIV positive, for example. Right? I don't need to go around and tell everybody my medical history, especially a corporation or my job or anybody out here out in public.
So you're just okay with putting as many people in danger as you just
Where?
don't
Where's
care?
everybody in danger? I see everybody outside grilling, walking their beautiful dogs.
Already jobs or people asking you if you have the vaccine?
Yeah, there are jobs.
Who asked you?
Not me personally, but there are jobs
Who
out
asked
there.
anyone?
Have you looked into
Do you
it?
have any example of any job asking people if they were vaccinated?
Yeah, federal employees have to get
Right,
vaccinated.
because federal employees sign a contract with the government according to what the government's going to do.
Right.
But if
And
you
so
work
do
for, and if
so
you
do-
work for a private institution, you have that HIPAA law protecting you. So, for example, I work at Costco, and before I took my mask off, they said, if you would like to have your mask off, you don't have to provide proof of your vaccine, but you have to give us the right to revoke that HIPAA law. They asked me to do it,
Right.
and that's what they're doing. It's a
Exactly.
law that you can, and a privilege that you are able to, as an individual, decide if you want to use it or not. Outside of that, no one has any right to do that. But a private institution remains the right to keep you out of its business for any reason that isn't a protected group.
Sure, great. Thanks for sharing.
So then what's
appreciate
the issue?
It's an issue because those who trust in what would be considered God's word, right? That's why I'm asking the question, would Adam and Eve get vaccinated? Have looked into books like Revelation and would say that, you know, to ask such things would then be kind of teetering on requiring me to have something to then allow me to buy or sell my wares, right?
So what is the significance of Adam and Eve getting the vaccine?
Well, it doesn't seem like God did a good enough job. So our Creator messed things up. So as if to say, like, we're a cell phone and we need to another reboot.
created the virus.
We need another reboot, right? We need help because God messed it up. He didn't.
No, China
Through His
created the
grand
virus.
infiniteness of knowing the past, present, and future, He
It's not
didn't plan
God messing
ahead.
up, it's just science.
He didn't plan ahead.
So do you believe that Adam and Eve are the moral standard that we have to follow?
It's just a question. Yeah. So you just happen to be here on a day that I asked, would Adam and Eve get vaccinated? I've asked, would Jesus get vaccinated? Would Muhammad? So
Would Adam and Eve follow God's word?
would they? I don't know. Are they
If
human?
you read the Bible, then I think you would know.
Uh,
vaccine themselves.
Eve is the one that was deceived. So,
And then what happened
so
to Adam?
Adam followed along with the woman, which is
Was Adam,
something that he
was Adam
should
given
not
the
have done.
instruction from God?
What's that?
If you're deceived by your neighbor, are
Yeah.
you still sinning?
Yeah.
So did Adam sin?
Yeah.
Did Eve
Okay.
sin?
Okay. What's your point?
So the question is that if their opinion is significant, then
Is it
why does it matter if they would get vaccinated?
Because
That's
it
the
doesn't.
question.
I'm asking somebody who happens to believe in Adam and Eve being the first male and female to then create the human race. So yeah, I think it is kind of an important thing because I have a lot of Christian friends who thank the science and God for bringing the vaccine to then do what it's doing right now. When I have an immune system personally, right? That's just me, my opinion,
Yeah.
and I don't need it. You know, so that's just where I'm at. But I do think it needs to be, you know, maybe thought up and cross somebody's mind like, hey, I believe in this religion or this ideal, and I have these great people like Muhammad or Gandhi or, you know, Adam and Eve. Would they get vaccinated? If they were alive right now, is this something that they would do?
And it's true.
So-
It's a question we can never know. You know what time it is? by the way?
So yeah, it's about 3:20.
What are you sitting on right there?
So stool,
But what's on the stool?
a butt thing because I got a skinny rear end.
But I mean, like God made you, don't you have a rear end? I mean, are you trying to improve on God's creation of your butt? And I mean, God created the sun and gave us this ability to tell the time. Why do you need that watch that was man-made by some people in a laboratory to know? God gave you all the tools to know yourself.
Yeah.
Why do you need a shirt? Why do you need this table to display the information?
I know, you're an amazing debater.
Do we have the limitation
Who's
that
we?
God, all of us as a people, God created us and gave us these
Did he?
intellectual minds and this ability to reason.
Did he?
So then we should theoretically wonder, does God want us to use that capacity to reason?
Yeah, just because you can do something doesn't mean you should do it. Right?
Just because the Bible doesn't explicitly say something doesn't mean God doesn't want you to do it. God did not tell you to wake up this morning in the Bible, but you can still choose to. You still chose to put that watch on
You're
and
right.
sit on that
Did I?
cushion. You did? Yeah, presumably.
You sure?
I'm not sure. Did someone do it for you?
I don't know, maybe science did.
And we could sit here all day and argue and wonder if we could know
We're
anything.
not going to.
But what you're doing right here is suggesting that there is some absolute truth that we ought to be following.
Is there? Is that what I'm doing? Oh yeah, so you just come here the first time you've ever seen me and you presume that I'm doing something. Nice conclusions. I appreciate your opinion and your observation. Anything else?
I feel like you just don't have any other way to battle us, so you're just saying why?
I don't think it needs to be a
No,
battle.
I know his spirit. I know this type of spirit. I mean, this isn't my first rodeo, you know? So there's going to be people who want to listen, like you were, up until he came, and then he came. So usually when there's a group of people who are willing to learn and are open to what I have to say, like she is, for example,
We're not
disruptors
really,
come.
we're not
Disruptors
really,
come.
We don't really
So-
want to learn. We don't
Okay,
want
then
to
don't. Then continue to dissuade truth and walk away and run
But is
from...
there truth?
Yeah, there is. There is absolute truth.
There is absolute.
Yeah, there is. Yeah.
And what is
Maybe
that
you're just
absolute
not
truth?
ready. You're just not ready for it, obviously.
Well, you seem to be willing to volunteer the information.
You're right. I'm volunteering
But
the
as soon as your
information,
narrative is
and
threatened,
I got this
you
here
seem
too. If you
threatened.
want to take this too, I got CDs and DVDs. I mean, my goodness, I got so much information, but I'm not going to spoon feed anybody, right? So I'm not going to just like. And why should you believe anything I have to say?
I'm
Right?
genuinely curious
So-
of what you have to say because you have a table set up, seeming that you want to provide information and for people here.
Sure.
But given the chance to provide that information, you don't want to answer my questions.
Sure.
So do you
I
want
guess
to
that's
answer
your
my
opinion.
questions?
Why do I have to answer your questions
don't
when you
actually
just
have
kind
to.
of
I'm asking
you kind of
if you
took over
want
the
to.
you kind of took over the conversation. You act like somebody needs to hear what you have to say
asking
when you
you
should set up
questions.
your own table next to me. And then what would you set up a table
That's
for?
and that's the exact thing is that I'm not standing in the middle of a public park with a table questioning if the world is flat. I'm asking the question of the man that did so.
So why do you think the Earth is a ball?
Why do I think the Earth is a ball? Did I ever tell you I thought the Earth was a ball?
Why do you think outer space would be real?
Did I ever tell you I thought outer space was real?
Why would you think that?
Why wouldn't I think that?
Okay, there you go.
I just have one question.
Yeah, what's up?
Why would you come out here if you know people are going to argue? Do you like when you argue?
No, I like the challenge, and this is just the end result that happens. Like, why are people so staunch on believing in something that they can't verify themselves? Like yourselves, for example.
Okay, wait. So, I want to go back to the fire.
Yeah.
So, like,
I would love to.
You're saying, like, say we're in Minnesota, right? And
Yep.
I start.
Show me, right here. Yeah, so we're in Minnesota.
Okay, so, like, okay, this is the flat Earth.
That's what we call Earth, you know.
Okay, and this is what you say is flat.
Well, maps are flat. Water there, when it's contained, lays level and flat at the surface.
Why do ships
That's
Okay.
because
usually
it's
fade away when
that's
they go off?
because it's a really big space, right? Like, I mean, it's like, okay, you know, I'm not gonna like that. So we're here, right? We're in Minnesota.
Okay.
And you're saying, what happens if I walk here? What happens then?
I don't know. Can you do that?
Yeah, you can take a
Can-
ship out there.
Can you?
Why wouldn't I be able to?
I know, but I'm asking you, do you have the resources to logically do that right now? Can we be rational instead of like imaginative, like, hey, you go over here? Can we be rational and reasonable?
Isn't this whole thing your imagination?
No, it's not. This is imagination. This is imagination. You've never been to outer space before.
Okay.
Have you?
So, no, I haven't. Why would I believe that? That's fantasy.
But
That's like believing in
you're
Santa Claus's...
imagining that outer space is fake then.
It's not scientifically possible.
How when thousands of scientists across the whole world like have proven that.
Yeah, thousands of people believe a guy walked on water.
So you're saying that you don't believe in God?
No, I'm saying that it's the same thing, dear. Okay, so they wrote books, government wrote books of people you've never met before, okay? And then they write the books, and then the establishment teaches those things to you in elementary school, high school, and so on and so on. Guess what they do to Mormons and people of
Okay,
Muslim
I'm not really
families?
okay, cool, yeah.
No, I'm not. This is exact. You need to.
I'm all about
you're-
challenging.
No,
the-
you're not separating yourself from spirituality and religion to government instilled religion, which is the same thing.
So you say, okay, government can't be trusted, right?
No, I'm saying that government through education has done the same things that if you go to Utah and are born a Mormon, you grow up the same way. You believe these same things. So of course people are going to believe they live in outer space, because that's what you're taught in school.
Okay, but
Are
back
you
to
taught
this,
any other reason about flat Earth?
Back-
Then you'll fall off the
back to
edge,
this question, okay? So
right?
So I'm Minnesota. You're saying it's not possible for a ship to go to the edge?
No,
of
it's
the
not.
Earth?
No.
So you're saying it'll just go on the water?
No,
will
it's not
just go
legally.
on-
It's not legally possible. Do you know about the Antarctic Treaty?
No.
Okay, so when you look into the Antarctic Treaty, you'll find out that in 1957, over 50 countries signed an agreement that they will not allow anyone below the 60th parallel, which is down here, which is Antarctica,
So
which is protected.
What's on the other side of this?
Can you get to the other side of something that goes on infinitely?
So you're saying the water just goes on?
Why not?
Can you ask about
Why not? Why couldn't it?
I have a question.
Yeah.
What's a nautical mile?
A nautical mile? Like 1.5 miles or something like that?
So like, what is the purpose of a nautical mile?
Over water for boats to use navigation and whatnot.
Right, but why do they use a nautical mile instead of a normal mile?
I'm not a, sailor.
So the
so-
purpose, I'll explain to you, because I used to live on a cruise ship. The purpose of a nautical mile is to account for the curvature of the Earth as they sail. Now the question is, everyone needs to use a nautical mile. Anyone that has ever manned an ocean vessel that needs to go more than, say, 50 miles needs to account for that nautical mile. So I can totally understand how the government has incentive to lie to us, and NASA has incentive to lie to us, but why is it that every captain of every ocean or seafaring vessel and every pilot of every ship has to lie? Because all of their entire navigational system is based off of moving around that. That's the only way they can function. If they're flying to the U.S. from China, they're going to go one of two different ways to get around that globe. According to that model, they're going to go in a straight line, exactly one route. Are they all lying to us?
No, they're not all trying to lie on purpose. What I'm saying is, if I'm a parent and I have a child and I tell them that Santa Claus is real, they got you your presents and this or that, and then they go to school and they say, hey, John, guess what Santa Claus got me? I got a PS5, blah, blah, blah. Is he lying? Is he lying that Santa Claus got him the PS5?
Technically, yes.
Come on. Do you think that he's intentionally lying and saying, hey, Santa Claus got me this PS5?
I don't think there's a problem in the deception, but if we're breaking out what a legitimate definition of a lie is, yes, he is not telling the
Okay,
truth.
so then yes, then the people that you believe are all lying, then yeah, they are lying because they're taught something in school that's been handed down from somebody else. So
then why does a
it's the
parent
same
lie about
thing.
Santa Claus?
What's that?
Why does a parent lie about Santa Claus?
I don't know. You'd have to ask that parent.
I would ask.
Seems like more conformity.
I would assume that it's because this is fun. This is fun holiday tradition.
Not fun, because you're preconditioning children to have a soil that's ready to be lied to for more things. For Easter Bunny, the globe. What's that?
Adam and Eve is more of an ideology. More of a medical.
Okay, so what came first, the chicken or the egg? Okay, well, it's either Adam and Eve, or all of a sudden,
Or apes.
bling,
Or we came from
you
apes.
come from evolution.
Exactly. Apes.
So apes, we came from apes. Why are there apes still?
Everything branches off.
Okay, that's you can't honestly believe you came from an ape, right? Come on.
Some crazy things. Maybe we did.
There's no evidence for that, though. There's no scientific evidence for that.
Evidence for Adam and Eve.
I'm just asking the question.
I know, but
I'm in the weird camp where I believe in Adam and Eve, and I believe we came from apes, but it's beside the question. 'Cause I'm more curious about the flat Earth stuff.
Yeah.
You know, what does a ship captain have to gain by lying about navigation? Because this ship tells him how far he's going.
Yeah, he can go as far as he wants, but the water is still flat because it's contained.
Then why is he measuring in nautical miles?
He can measure it in however he
If he
wants
measured
to.
it in regular miles, though, he wouldn't go the same distance. That's the problem. The ocean has a curvature, and if you don't account for it, you will not travel the distance that you plan to. They have this system in place so that they can
Exactly.
actually
It's set in
navigate
place
the
already.
sea.
It's set in place already, as if to say the Earth is a globe. It's assumption on presumption.
So then why else would
So the way
would
that
space work differently?
because you can't have outer space without a solid barrier.
Physical space and moving throughout.
Uh-huh.
Why is it that it seems as if our concept of space gets distorted as we move throughout the sea, as if there's a curvature? What is the explanation?
I was explaining that earlier. Okay, and so it depends upon the
You're
time.
explaining vision and light, but how is it when I physically move the distance, if I track my steps as I move across the sea, steps, distance gone, it doesn't seem like I am the correct distance away. It seems as if there's an extra added something in how I'm moving.
There's not. I don't know why you feel that. Maybe you feel like that because you were born into
cruise
this.
ship that had to travel 400 miles on its
And you believe that the Earth was a globe the whole time. For the same reason, if I stand here and I get 5 of my friends and me to all start pointing at the sky and say, hey guys, do you see that up there? I guarantee you within maybe 10 minutes, I could probably get one other person to agree with my 5 friends that there's something in the sky.
I 100% agree with
Okay?
I 100% agree.
There's too many variables.
That you would be able to convince someone that's up there. But as the people examined it and researched it and tried to say what is it up there, people would begin to see that maybe through our understanding and our following of a process to see what's there, we would find if there was something there or not. And that's what science is. It's us saying maybe there is something up there. Maybe that cloud up there is actually a marshmallow. And me saying, hey, I think it's a marshmallow. You say, hey, maybe it is. And then he comes along and says, no, I don't think it is a marshmallow. We say, how can you prove it? And then eventually, over time, we start examining the water vapors, and we maybe send someone up there to gather some of the data. And after we do that, he brings back his research and says, hey guys, I collected some of this cloud, and it turns out it's actually just water in the air, and due to the atmospheric pressure, it's formulated that marshmallow-like texture. So we say, I want to examine it, so I do the same thing. And then I've seen it say, hey, I saw your research, I agree, but I think it's a little more complicated than that. And that's peer study, and that's how
you have
we
a really
get
good heart,
science.
man. I really appreciate your heart.
And that's what
You have
and
a
that's
great
all we
heart.
do.
But what you do, unfortunately, is you're projecting your goodness onto people you've never met before. So you're assuming that this guy's a nice guy, which I'm sure he might be, but I don't know him. So if you're going to pay him to go up there because you don't have the resources to do it, for example, and he's going to come back down and say, hey, guess what? It's a marshmallow.
Right. But then I
He's
say,
not
okay,
obligated to tell you
right.
the truth.
I'm not
dude.
obligated to believe him, but what he could say is,
bring you a
I
sample
published
of
my
what's
research.
Yeah.
Right?
And then we get some s'mores
We all
going.
share it and talk about something else, right?
Exactly. So,
But the thing is, he can then publish his research, and I can examine it and conduct my own experiments, and that's what thousands of scientists do.
Yeah,
and
I
then
hear
all
that.
the information is public.
but for grandiose claims like landing on the moon, how many people have done it, and how many countries have done it? Okay, one country has done it, America,
Gone to
and
space
they've
already.
landed 12 men on it. That's how many people have went on the moon.
How many
They've
people have
landed
been to space?
RC cars and this or that, but only 12 men can claim to have walked on the moon. And only one country has the things to do it. And unfortunately, we destroyed that technology. It's a painful process to bring back, and we would love to do it again. That's what we get. So all of a sudden, magically, their science that you just said that you wanted to do, he destroyed it and said, hey, guess what? It's a marshmallow, and you have to believe me. We destroyed the only way to get up there, and there you go. Now we landed on the moon, and it's a marshmallow. Or we know what that cloud is, it's a
Do you
marshmallow.
believe we can no longer go to the moon?
That's what they tell us. NASA says that on camera.
Don't they also
I've
say...
researched this.
Do they also say that it's incredibly expensive and there's no resource to bring back from the moon, so it doesn't really get
No,
us anything?
no. I encourage you to look it up.
Okay.
John Pettit. I'd go back there in a nanosecond. But we can't because we destroyed that technology. That's what he says.
I think our technology is better than this.
Okay, well, hi there.
it's flat?
I know it's flat, yeah. And outer space is fake.
How come we have a globe then if it's flat?
People believe that that's real, even though they've never seen it tilted at the 23.4 degree tilt.
Have you been to the edge?
What edge?
The edge of the Earth. If it's flat, there's an edge.
Why does there have to be an edge?
Then it would be round, like a globe.
No, this is round.
It's got an edge.
It does, yeah.
So
But
I'm saying, where have you been to the edge?
have you been to the edge of outer space?
No.
So why do you believe outer
I worked
space?
for NASA though.
Uh-huh. That doesn't make outer space real.
So it's all conspiracy
So,
theory?
So you
no,
have- you
it's
can't
about
preach-
belief.
You can't preach that the Earth is flat if you haven't been to the edge of the Earth.
You can't say you work for NASA if you haven't been to outer space. Well, like, what's the point?
NASA does a lot more stuff than just going to outer space.
You're right. They steal our tax money and they create CGI images of outer space.
They don't steal the tax money.
Yeah, they do.
You
Yeah,
pay
it's
taxes.
coerced. I don't know. Do I?
I don't know. You probably don't work.
You probably think I voted for Trump too, don't you?
I would doubt that.
Okay, yeah. Because I don't vote. I'm
I
a
would
smart.
think- I would doubt you voted at all.
I'm a smart man. I don't vote for crying out loud. I don't put my energy into
But all
that.
the things you're arguing, that is, if you don't see them,
That's a pretty good start. Yeah.
if
Yeah.
you don't see them, how can they be true?
Yeah, it's a
so
good
if you
start.
haven't been to the edge of the Earth, how can that be true?
Because outer space isn't real.
That has nothing to do with
Yeah,
the
it
Earth.
does. Why? Because you think if the Earth is flat, it's floating in outer space, right?
So what is it on?
It's on nothing. It just goes on infinitely forever.
What is the sun?
I don't know. It's probably, I think personally, it's a light from a greater light behind it. So like a magnifier type thing. So I think like our creator, God, right, is the light behind the sun, and the sun is what we see. As if to say God, Jesus, man type of thing.
What is the moon?
That's the feminine negative charge of our environment. That's Luna, and it is its own light source. It doesn't. The phases of the moon are its own cause, not something the sun does, in my opinion. And I think some people have talked about it in the 60s as being plasma, some kind of a plasma ball. But it could be flat, it could be a ball, but that doesn't make the Earth a ball.
Sure.
Just because you think the
Do you believe
sun
in
is.
planets?
No, I don't.
What are they?
I think they're resonant frequencies or cymatics. You ever seen cymatics before?
No.
So if you go to like the science museum and you put sand on a steel plate and then you get a violin string and you do this, one of these, it'll create a design, right?
Sure. Yeah.
And then you can go on the other side and do it at a certain, and it creates a new design. So every time it's a new randomized design like a snowflake. And if you look at the lights in the sky with a camera or, like a P1000 or something, it has that cymatic resonant frequency to it.
Yeah.
And so I think that that's us, people. We manifest ourselves here in this environment, like with how we look. But I think whatever those lights in the sky are resonant frequencies of some kind of possibly angels, you want to call them that. So they would manifest themselves down, like back in the Bible, for example, the angels fell from the sky. They would have to manifest themselves as people, like us, as the highest form of creation.
What do you believe in eclipses?
I mean, it could be anything. I don't think that it has to do with the Earth or anything like that.
But it does have to do with space not existing, because when the moon moves in front of the sun and blocks it, that creates an eclipse. But if the sun were just a lens flare, say, from a greater light of God, would that still be possible?
Well, are you familiar with Rahu and Ketu or something like that? There's a dark entity in the sky also that people claim causes the moon or the sun to eclipse.
I'm not familiar with that.
Rahu or Ketu or something like that. Yeah. So that's another idea, that there's a dark, non-seen entity that our eyes can't see, that it's something to do with the particular mechanics in the sky that cause the sun and the moon to do that.
And that same thing for a lunar eclipse?
Yeah. But though, again, what's a selenoline or whatever? That's when the sun and the moon are on the lower horizon during an eclipse. So how is it that the moon is lit while the sun is right here? Wait a second, I thought the sun was supposed to light the moon, right? So that takes that out of the equation.
How does it take it out of the equation? Like see them both, it wouldn't make sense. That
Well,
light
because
could
if
travel.
if they're both in the horizon together, right, next to each other, how is the sun lighting the front of the moon that you see?
Because the sun is over there.
No, it's a
over there.
selenoline. Have you seen a selenoline
No.
before? Okay, yeah.
I also just have one tip. If you're talking to people
Mhm.
in the future who are willing to have a conversation, try not to say like, oh dear, and like, oh you're so cute. Just,
Yeah,
that
you are
didn't-
though. Do you want to see the seasons?
That didn't make me feel.
Yeah, well, you know what?
I did. Like I'm willing
I
to
know,
talk
and I
to
hear
you.
that all the time.
So like, you
But
don't
I've been
have to
doing
call
this
me-
for 4 years.
I'm not saying anything about that. I'm just saying you
No,
don't
you-
have to call me cute or like not talk down to me. Like,
Oh, you thought I was talking down to you?
It
Oh, okay.
seems
Well,
like
if you
that.
perceive that as me talking down to you, then maybe that's something to do with you. Because I wasn't talking down to you. I was being genuine in where I was coming from. Because you're one of the few in the group that actually wanted to hear what I had to say.
Okay,
Even
well-
though you might not think that right now.
Well, it
Hey,
didn't make me
I'll tell you what. I think you did a great job. I would not bear any personal weight on anything. This man
Yeah,
said.
don't. The earth is still flat. Whether
I think that's why I shut up when you were talking. I think I was very
Yeah,
impressed.
it doesn't
by
have
the way that
anything to
you
do with what I
engaged
do.
him. But please do not be wavered in your future endeavors. I'm sure you got a bright future ahead of him. By anything this man said today.
Yeah,
If you have,
but
and
the
if
earth
you,
is
and,
still
and I
flat.
encourage you to do this. Talk to people that disagree with you.
I don't have to.
And
People
learn,
leaving outer space is
and,
real.
And
You've never
learn
seen
why
it before.
they say the things they do.
And you're never
because
gonna go to
that
outer
will
space.
foster your own
So
belief.
keep
And
believing.
That's what the scientific
Having faith
process
they're
is.
going to land on Mars
Don't just
someday.
investigate people that agree with you, even though it's
How
probably
do you know they won't go to outer
They're not going to, dude. It's impossible. It's scientifically impossible. Are you a Freemason? Are you a Freemason to go to outer space?
Don't,
You're not?
don't-
Oh, you're
don't
not part of a
take
secret
everything with
society?
a pinch of salt. Don't walk out of this expecting
Weird.
to learn.
You may or may not believe it.
Well, it doesn't matter. And it doesn't matter how I come off.
Yeah, it does.
No, it
That's how
doesn't.
you- I
The
mean,
earth
you're
is
just
still
like,
flat.
You're just like treating people like how they don't want to be treated. You
And
know,
you
like-
and so are other people. So it doesn't
But
feel very nice.
doesn't it matter to
Right?
not treat people how it treat? Didn't Jesus say to treat your neighbor as you would hope to?
Is that what he said?
That is exactly.
Is that? Show me the verse.
I love it.
All right, great. So you think that they can go to Mars and land in a helicopter on an atmosphere that they've never tested here on Earth before?
I do believe that.
How? Where's the evidence? Where's the peer review?
I'm waiting for the peer review.
Yeah, me too. I'm waiting to go to Mars and see that helicopter fly in an atmosphere that has no drag or ability to lift a helicopter.
How did they create the technology for your pad, for your phone, for your camera?
50 years, seems like, took, right? So how is it that human beings have been on Earth, allegedly, through evolution for 50,000 years, and we're just now getting this technology? Shouldn't it have been around for thousands of years?
Not necessarily.
Why not?
Evolution.
Evolution. All right. Well, it could be withholding information and technology and weaning it out when they're ready to give it to you.
It goes back to science and discovery.
No, you have this idea that they email you and say, hey, guess what, so-and-so, we're going to go to the moon or Mars, and here's how we're going to do it.
So why can't they?
That's not how it works, because they have NDAs,
No, I'm not asking you why can't someone go to the moon or go to Mars?
because it's scientifically impossible.
Why?
You need a solid barrier to have two pressure systems next to each other.
So you don't believe in oxygen, you don't believe in...
Show me, demonstrate it. Use science to demonstrate a vacuum next to a breathable air environment
So if
next
I
to
put-
each other without a
if I
solid
put you in a
barrier.
vacuum or hyperbaric chamber and sucked all the air out, you would die.
Yeah, of course I would.
So there is oxygen.
Yeah, of course there is. So
Who
show
said there
me.
wasn't?
So show me the hyperbaric chamber without the exterior fuselage. Show me a hyperbaric chamber without the walls.
You have to have the wall.
Exactly. You have to have a container in which we breathe, and then it's separate from this fantasy environment called outer space. There is
I
no
can
outer
touch it
space.
and see it, just like you said. I can touch it and see
No,
it.
demonstrate it. Demonstrate it.
You can't build it right now.
Exactly, you can't, because you have to
How
depend
about-
on
how take
somebody
you down to
else.
Hennepin County Medical
See,
Center?
again, you have to depend on somebody else. You don't have it. You don't have
I
their
know
science
where
or the
it is.
resources. That's a belief.
I'll take you down to Hennepin County Medical Center.
Sure,
I'll
we
put
could
you in
do
the
that.
hyperbaric chamber, and maybe they'll check you into the psych ward.
And maybe you could show me a hyperbaric chamber without the walls.
Can't be done.
Exactly. So you can't have outer space and our air next to each other without a wall. How is that? Yes, you have to show me the natural occurring phenomenon then. That's science.
It's from Earth, gravitational.
Show me.
You have to go to outer space.
Exactly.
You don't believe.
You have to believe in somebody else to do it. That's a religion, my friend.
I'm not a religious.
You sounds like you are. You're a government
religious person?
I'm spiritual.
Do you believe in the Bible?
I feel like it has a lot of really, really good things to say.
Do you believe it's the inspired word of God?
I feel like if my dad wanted to leave me something behind and I never met him before, he would probably write me a book and say, hey son, this is how you should probably conduct yourself.
But do you believe the Bible is how you should conduct yourself?
I feel like it's a really, really good start and a solid foundation to raise a family. And it seems like it's one of the more hated books on earth right now. So I feel like it's a pretty good start. Whatever the world's doing
Do
is.
you believe that you should treat your neighbor as you would have them treat you?
Show me that verse. Did you find the
Yep,
verse?
Matthew 7,
Yep.
verse 12.
Great. There it is. Yeah. It's a lot for sale. There you go.
So then, would you say that you treated those girls the way that
Yeah, I did.
you wanted them to treat you?
Yep. Because they came up with the spirit of, I'm not going to believe anything this guy says already. So
Did you think that you were going to believe anything that I said when I walked up?
I don't believe anything you say. I haven't been able to go home and look over the film
So
and
then
then
would you
talk
say
it over
that
and
you
everything.
walked up with the same spirit that those girls did?
What's that?
And when they politely asked you to show them respect and you said you weren't going to, was that conducting yourself in the way that
I don't
Matthew
need
7:12?
I don't need to have like an interrogation by you. So you have I'm gonna bet you have you done any missions work or anything like that? Okay, where have you gone outside of the country?
Guatemala 4 times.
Right on.
And then
Excellent.
Dominican Republic once. I was
Okay,
here.
right on. So do you find it that there are certain spirits that you have to handle differently when you do things over and over again? Do you find that you develop a certain discernment on how to deal with spirits when talking about the gospel?
I think
for
when I
example?
do things differently, it's usually a failing on my own part. Because Jesus had the same philosophy whenever he did anything. He said, "Take up your cross and follow me." And anything that I do that is different than him is a failing on my part. So I'll tell you right now that I'm an imperfect person.
Yeah, me too.
And in my missions work, I made many mistakes, and I think back at some of the things I did and how they were wrong. So yes, I will say that I've treated people differently, but that's not because that's what I ought to do. It's because I am a human who failed.
Sure. The information's not going to fail. So the earth is still flat, and as much as people might disagree with it and call me names under their breath, you don't live there, and outer space isn't real. And to believe in any of that is still a religion. And they conduct themselves as if they are in a religion. They mock and ridicule everybody who doesn't believe in their religion, and then they always spout off the exact same thing. Where's the edge? So it's like, where do they get their information from? They become NPCs and just spout out the exact same thing I've heard for the last 4 years.
Where do you get your information from?
Looking, using experience.
Did you make that map?
No, I didn't.
No. Where'd you get it from?
A friend of mine gave it to me. I don't know where she got it. So why do you keep going to this? Like, why do you keep doing that? Because you did that before.
Going to what?
Well, did you pick that watch? Did you do this or that? Like, what is the point of that? What is the point
I'm
of that?
simply taking the questions that you're asking me, and I want to see how you answer.
Ah, I see. Yeah. So, I see. Yeah, I do that too sometimes. And what I find is that when I rewatch the film, asking questions when somebody's asking me a genuine question isn't the right thing to do. So maybe this is a good learning experience for you. Maybe when somebody asks you a question, you don't defer and say, oh, did you choose to do this or that? Because you still believe in the largest religion on earth, and that's globe religion. You believe you live there, and that evolution played a part. Like, you just pick and choose Bible scriptures too, man. Like, you're doing the same thing as me, just in a different way, or you're a different type. And that's fine. We're both men at least, so we can learn from it.
More people behave as if they're part of religion than things. I agree with you.
So, yeah.
I don't 100% disagree with you, but I do believe that if you choose to set up a table and dare people to ask the questions and give them QR codes to learn about what you're saying, then you shouldn't be surprised when they have questions for you.
Usually what I found, and I'm sure you found this too doing ministry work, especially talking about the gospel, it's always best to have one or two people, and that's it, right? It's always best to talk about serious matters like that with one or two people, probably,
But
right?
it makes it difficult because everyone wants to butt in.
So that's kind of the thing, is when it gets to that point, maybe that's just not their time. If they believe in Jesus, never got to that question. It just talked about flat earth and how I dealt with everything. If they walk away and they don't ever look into flat earth, that sucks. But if they never look into Jesus or the gospel, I didn't really bring that up. Didn't really hear that a whole lot talked about. So did you or I fail in that? Did you or me bring up the gospel or anything like that?
I don't see it as my responsibility to bring up the gospel in every place I go.
Right. So
I came here for I do things in a much simpler manner. I came here because my family's here. It's Memorial Day. We're celebrating a holiday.
Sure.
They weren't doing anything, and I saw you here, so I thought I'd ask you some questions.
No, I appreciate you coming by. I mean, I'm not upset that you're here, that you came by, but I do feel like everything probably could have gone a different way, and that's just unfortunate that it didn't. And I'll be back out here or another place tomorrow or Wednesday and do it again and start over.
So who would you say was driving the culture of the way that things went? Of the group of the people that were here, who's driving that energy level?
Whoever butts in, really. Yeah, and this guy here and you and another guy behind you butted in when the children came up, because they came up first and then everybody else came in afterwards. So,
I had to walk my dog and get her water when I came back. There were people here. I wanted to come stop you right when I walked by you.
Yeah, no worries. Yeah. So it's just how things go. I don't take it personally. I don't cry myself to sleep and write in a diary and be like, oh my God, these people could have been saved by flat earth. I mean, it's not what I'm upset about. They might see me again, just like I've been to Lake Calhoun literally 100 times and have good and negative conversations with the same people. So I mean, we get over things eventually. Never underestimate the night, a good sleep. And
I'll be honest with you, the reason I butted in on her is because I could see that she was getting heated.
Yeah, sure.
And I think she was struggling to formulate her words. You said you were listening to her, but it seemed like you were also interrupting her.
Yeah.
And the conversation was going downhill. Once she had good things to contribute, I sat there silently for the first 10 minutes I was here.
Yeah.
But then once things got worse, she looked like a little kid, man.
Yeah, it's challenging for a lot of people when they're in it. A lot of college students, I go to the university and I talk about outer space not being real and flat earth, and I mean, people get triggered over that stuff because they're going to school for it. I mean, I'm going to school for maths and I need to learn about outer space, and you're telling me that what I'm learning isn't real. And that's why I try to, steer the conversation into comparing, spiritual religion and the idea of like Muslims and all that stuff and Christians into what government and education has been turned into. And it's been compartmentalized as if to separate the two. And it seems like when I do address it and I make people more aware of it, that's when something inside kind of gets upset, because they're like, I'm not a religious person, dude. Like, I don't believe in God. You're like, I don't believe in this or that. And it's like, well, government's your God then. Because we have to believe in something, or it's your own personal religion, right? It's your own, like, I'm the best, waking up in the morning and looking at yourself in the mirror. And be like, I'm going to conduct myself the best way, and you try to do it. And sometimes it doesn't go very well. So.
No, I've always been an advocate that more people are part of a religion than think that they are. Because many people believe things that they cannot prove, and they cannot identify what they believe in. It's what their group believes and what they align with. But that's still a human error, because I believe if a Christian does that, they're just as wrong as anybody else.
Yeah.
If a Christian says this happened in the Bible, so it's real, without being able to find the verse, then they're wrong. Because I think religion is a failure. I think Jesus would say that religion is a failure. Jesus called people to have a relationship with him. He never said, do a part of this religion and here are your sacraments and what you ought to do. He said, just follow me.
Yeah.
He said a couple of basic things, and that was it.
Did you ever look into a guy named Ron Wyatt?
No.
So Ron Wyatt, he allegedly a number of years ago found the Ark of the Covenant and the
So you
Noah's
guys
Ark.
took a picture of it,
Noah's Ark,
leaned
yeah.
over, yeah.
Mhm. Yeah, and Noah's Ark. And they have they recreated
picture.
the Noah's Ark in Kentucky. So there's an actual giant, huge ark in Kentucky somewhere.
That same guy though, didn't he later on say that he didn't believe that was the? Didn't he also later on say he didn't believe that he actually got a picture of the Ark?
The Ark in Kentucky is the one that what's his face
A creationist or something like that?
It's called the Creation Museum, but the Ark Experience is built by.
I can't remember his name. I know you're talking about the guy that debated Bill Nye, right?
Yeah, I know his name. I can't think of it.
Is it like one of those like Ken Hovins or something like that? Ken Ham.
Yeah, no, I watched that entire documentary actually.
Oh, okay.
The guy, he went up there twice and got like a faraway picture. The close one where he leaned over the edge and it was too blurry.
And they found Sodom and Gomorrah and all that too.
But he also later on said he had doubts that the picture he got was actually of Noah's Ark.
What do you think about, like, I bring that up because that's evidence of an idea of, like, religion, right?
Sure.
With Christianity. Do you think that enhances a person's faith in that, or is it just, like, circumstantial?
I think that the research given, it would have been a lot easier if the guy could have just gone 3 feet further and taken a couple of HD photos of the Ark.
Yeah.
You know, and I found the whole scenario to be awfully convenient that he climbed up to the peak, but because of the blizzard, he couldn't get a couple steps further. And like, you know, because if I find a Noah's Ark, you better believe I'm taking like multiple angles and some selfies in color, black and white, you know, portrait mode.
Yeah, yeah.
But this guy was only able to get one blurry photo of it, and even on his own testimony, saying, I don't actually think that was it. I think that was not what I found. But I think it's neither here nor there. I'll be honest with you. If they find Noah's Ark or they don't, I don't think my faith is going to change that I believe there was a real Noah and a real Ark. And I hope that any other Christian that believes in it doesn't need to find a physical boat from 10,000 years ago to believe what happened.
There's actual scientific proof that there was a massive worldwide flood in 10,000 something. So that's a given.
Many ancient civilizations have that idea too.
Yeah, it's been carried on for many, many years.
Yeah, look into mud floods. There's an idea that we get reset as a human race every 200, 300 years. Mud floods. So it's not just one account. They reset us all the time.
Who's that?
The hierarchy enslaving you.
Oh boy.
Yeah, well, good chat, man. I appreciate your spirit, you know. It's good to chop it up, I guess, if you want to call it that.
I'm going to get back to my family and get
Yeah.
my dog tired out.
Have a good day out there.
Take care, man.
Thanks, you too.